bases. Bristol and Booth, Jeremy Booth, Jason Bristol. Jeremy, the big news, Lance McCullers has been dealt to the Milwaukee Brewers. Your initial reaction when I texted you or when you heard the news?
It's my first thought was that the Brewers are in a position to really compete. McCullers is a bullpen arm, no matter how you cut it. Anyway, McCullers is a bullpen arm. And so,
By the way, the Astros also sending Colton Gordon and cash considerations to Milwaukee for Jaden Fielder.
yeah. All right. So,
I just wanted to get the entire deal because I'm going to read you some other things that will tie into what I just had to say, but go ahead.
all right. So my first thought was that the Brewers were in contention. They needed some bullpen help. Woodruff's been down a little bit up there, and while that doesn't concern the Astros fans from a league standpoint, it does. And so, McCullers is a reliever. He's been a reliever since 2012. He's just occasionally he's started and he's done a good job, but he's really good in the pen. At this point in his career, it's the starting rotation stuff is over for real. And so the Astros moved into a place where he had a chance to go in. The Brewers I don't believe, have ever won a World Series. And so, in that particular situation, McCullers, at this point in his career, that's what veterans do. This happens all the time. They go off rosters and they go somewhere else. And the Astros need some depth. They need some bats in their system. They clearly address the offense in the draft. As an example, they've drafted bats the last few years, consistent guys that can hit. Jaden Fielder is the son of Prince, who is the son of Cecil. It's potentially a depth piece for a depth piece, depending on the level. Now, there's money that comes off the books that way. I don't know if that's consequential at this point in time, but it certainly helps. And that was it. Now, and then I did read stuff about how he gave the Astros a better chance to compete right now. I don't know how that matters. I think that if Blanco and some of these other guys that are coming back into the rotation or into the bullpen or whatever help, and I believe they have Javier based on our last time, right, in the bullpen.
He made a start the last time out.
Yes, he did. But when we talked last time, at least on the camera,
yes.
It was a typical reliever.
Although he isn't pitching very deep into games, so he's more like an opener at this point.
Well, better than opener than a typical reliever, right? And so, just on his routine and what he's always done. And anyway, bottom line is they're getting some reinforcements back. McCullers probably doesn't fit. Here, he had to waive his no trade clause. They gave him a heads up to do it, and away we go. So, best for both organizations at this point in time. These times always come around in players' career. For a guy like Lance McCullers, regardless of what or anybody else says about his role, he gave a lot to the city of Houston. He gave a lot to the organization. He competed every time he took the baseball. Just because some people disagreed with what role he should play doesn't mean he hasn't been a really good big leaguer when he's been on the mound. And so he's earned everything he's going to get from the city when his time is up. Milwaukee's going to embrace him and love him. Good for him to go chase another pennant wherever that may be, and hopefully he stays healthy. That's my reaction.
I'm now giving you one of three options. You choose one. We can hear from Dana Brown about the trade. We can read Brewers fans' comments about the trade under the Brewers post that the trade had happened, or you can hear my thoughts.
Do I have to pick one of those? I mean,
Yes, because that's all I have queued up at this time.
I'll give you a cheat code. If it helps, I've already heard what Dana had to say. So
but some of the people, sometimes we like to hear your reaction to what Dana had to say.
I got to pick one.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got? What are your thoughts?
I would say that I think this is a situation based on the numbers game and the number of pitchers that it's just a much cleaner transition for Lance. There's no talk about potentially letting him go or DFAing him or anything like that, because everything that he's done for this organization, I think that the Astros may have done him a solid, and he deserves it based on what he has done for the city, both on and off the field. And I think the Astros did do you think the Brewers called asking for Lance McCullers?
I mean, I think there's a match there with Jaden Fielder, who's
Okay.
Prince's kid, right? And remember, Prince is a Brewer forever. So I think there's a match there. I think there's a match where they said, look, we don't need him. He's not worth us to us what you're paying him. So you got to pay us something. We'll offset it, And I mean, I think the Brewers have a need for some help. They have some
Okay.
reinforcements, but I don't think it's as big a need as the Astros had to move him, if that's the question. I
Yeah.
think the Astros
Yeah.
need to move him.
And I think that 10, 15 years from now, Lance's legacy will look a little different. I think people will certainly always think of the injuries, but man, when he was on, he was really incredible. Like, he was everything that the Astros, I think, thought he could be when he was drafted. And especially when he's part of that remarkable 2017 run, his season where he's an all-star, and just everything about Lance. And I think certainly Lance has been frustrated the last few years and things have not gone the way he certainly envisioned. But my guess is this, is if you had asked a young Lance McCullers Jr. 15 years ago, you're going to play 10, 11 years in the big leagues. You're going to win two World Series rings. You're going to make $85 million. You're going to have a beautiful family. And you're going to have an all-star game to your nod, which I think he does, right? He has an all-star appearance, I think. That he would have signed up for that in a minute.
I'm actually thinking he only, I say only, he only made 85 million. I thought he made more than that.
Well, he got a $85 million contract.
Yeah, so
That was 5-year extension.
it's probably the 120 range, and good for him. His baseball legacy. I saw a quote about somebody else that said, Major League Baseball is just what we do. Some families are like that. The Ebells are like that. The McCullers are like that. The Boones are like that. The Fielders have a long way to go before they're like that. But there's some families are like that. It's just what they do. So good for him.
The fielders are up there pretty good, man.
Well, I'm just mean like Jaden. I mean, there's two of
Oh,
them.
okay, I
Like,
got you.
if you look at the Boones, the McCullers, there's two. If you look at the Boone family,
The
there was
Bells.
yeah, the Bells are another one. But I mean, the Boone family had what? They had Aaron and Brett are the ones that are the most recent. Bob before that, and
Bob.
Ray. So
Yeah.
that's four generations. Depending on how they cut it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think he's. I think that he would have signed up for that in a heartbeat. I don't know anybody that wouldn't have. So good for look. He's. I don't. My memory of Lance McCullers, for those that want to think back with me, will be the one I refer to consistently as a pro. Anyway, there's two. There's one in 2017 as a closer when he comes in and he shuts down the Dodgers and it's an 80 closer, and I'm like, that's
And then the Yankees
finally
throwing
there.
24 straight curveballs in the ALCS.
Yes. Then the other one is in the pandemic, because he had come back. It was a shortened year, but he was on and he was dealing. And I remember watching him in the playoffs going, okay, let's see if he holds up the next year. Here we go. And he, of course, did not, but that
Well, he
wasn't
did, and then he didn't.
so he did not. And then there's a memory of 2020. So look, he's had a great run when he's been on the mound. The issue with Lance McCullers will be it was he miscast from the beginning. He didn't want to make any adjustments into that role, so there was really no way to look back and find out otherwise. That's just it. So
All-Star in 2017,
that
won
explains it.
13 games in 2021, 10 games in 2018. And from as an aside, in my opinion, one of the most enjoyable people to talk to in the clubhouse, always approachable and very much appreciated. A pro's pro. Always loved talking baseball with him. And it's going to be weird not seeing him in the Astros clubhouse, given that I've been here 10 years and basically he's one of those guys that's all I've known is
When
Lance.
did he get here? 16?
15.
15, yes. I mean, it's been here the whole time, and he's part of that renaissance. There's only a couple players left, one of which has left town and come back, and that's
Two.
Correa. Well, right,
Correa and
Correa and
Altuve.
Altuve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Altuve's not going anywhere. So, look, this era's come to an end, and it's time to transition. And for guys in this point in their career, unless they're an icon like Altuve, who probably doesn't want to go anywhere else and might refuse to, for all we know, these guys move. They move on and they finish somewhere else, and it's just time. So good for him.
But again, I utmost respect for Lance McCullers Jr. As I said, I've always enjoyed his providing us with his insight and things like that. When it came to pitching, coffee, whatever, MMA, whatever. But
what were the Brewers fans' reactions?
All right, so here they are. Here's one comment. The crew isn't done adding. Mark my words. This team could take down the Dodgers, whether it's a 5-game series or 7. Someone said they spelled Scooble wrong. We got that World Series in the crosshairs. Someone wrote, next move, Brewers are planning on re-signing Jeff Suppan. As Ned Yost once said, Soup pitched great. This is where it gets interesting. Colton Gordon, the other pitcher the Brewers acquired, is probably the key player the Brewers wanted. In Gord Ash and pitching coach Hook, I trust.
Okay.
McCullers probably won't pitch an inning, but he isn't the target of the trade, writes another fan. This is the same as the 2025 D-backs trade where the Brewers took on the rest of Jordan Montgomery's deal with no intention of him pitching a single pitch. Shelby Miller was the target. In this trade, Gordon is the target. They clearly see something in him, and they need lefties to combat the Dodgers lineup.
Well, so that's a little bit all over the map. I will tell you that I have not followed Colton Gordon for 1 second since he's
27 years old, has been bouncing back and forth between Sugarland and Houston, as all of you out there
I remember
know.
him, but wasn't he a second-round pick or something like that?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but that's my point, right? So I don't think that's the case. I'm nothing against the guy, Colton Gordon, but
he's
the
a
Brewers,
big leaguer.
Yeah, Brewers
part of that 1% that we always talk about.
They got so the statistical
eighth
anomaly.
Rounder UCF, eighth rounder UCF, career ERA near 6 in 24 games, 15 starts. He's pitched 95 innings and allowed 124 hits in 2 seasons in the big leagues.
Okay.
I mean, he's a big leaguer, but that doesn't sound like someone who they're counting on to stop the Dodgers.
Brewers are starving for a championship. Brewers and Mariners are starving. Good for them. Yeah, and I worked for both teams, by the way. Just saying. So, I don't know.
And real quick, I do want to play some of what Jim Crane and Scott Boris's role in all of this was. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Have you heard it already?
Have not.
Not this one.
Mostly the conversations were him and Jim going back and forth. I was talking directly with Scott Boras, his agent. And so, we were both having tons of conversations. We were on text messages at one point. But the decision came to say, look, you could potentially be placed in the trade. And, we had some conversations back and forth with Scott, and we were able to pull it off.
Is that it?
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I went through this similar thing with Presley. These decisions are always difficult when you have guys that have been pillars in organizations. And when it comes to a time where there's a decision to make a trade, and in this case, again, Lance graciously accepted, a trade. And, what he's meant to this organization makes it even more difficult. But we had some decisions to make in terms of creating some roster flexibility. And, so we decided we would trade him.
Heard enough?
I mean, what he's saying is it was just time to move on, and
Yeah.
that's everybody agreed on that. Lance
Yeah.
wanted to go compete, and there's no room for him here anymore and what he wants to do, and the Brewers probably have some places they can use him, and they'll pick up some money. The Astros will pick up some money and welcome him back later, I would imagine, in some kind of capacity if he wants to become an
Yeah.
Astro.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think Dana did mention that he's a guy that potentially could come back as a coach in
Well,
the organization,
coach or not, special assistant,
instructor.
yeah. I mean, organizations, I will say, at least on the player development side, have done a much better job in past years of keeping their alumni around. They used to be scouting heavy with that, a lot extra, this special assignment, this special assistant, this. But having these guys on the field translating that stuff, especially somebody like Lance, who dove all the way into the data and the tech and the understanding and the pitching revolution, all that, that's an asset. It is an asset there, and he's such a baseball rat and he's such a baseball lifer that being able to plug that into an organization he cares deeply about is probably a good thing. So. I don't, he's not a Brewer finisher. It's more like Joe Montana going to the Chiefs, and it's a Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers type situation.
OJ
It's
Simpson to the 49ers,
yeah, it's
Johnny Unitas to the Chargers.
yeah, it's the
Tom
end of the
Brady
line.
was pretty good, so I don't know if
Yeah, but
that's the
he's
same.
still Tom Brady was still 61 years old when he did it. You know what I mean? So I mean, when it turns around and you have this type of scenario, winners need to go win, and it's unfair to Lance to and other guys who they may have a surplus of. To keep them on a roster where they're not going to win. It wouldn't surprise me when Correa is healthy to try to move him again either. Not right now. There's no one's taking him right now, but and I'm not saying they'll be successful at it, but it wouldn't. Let me just give Dana a second here, okay? I don't think any general manager wants to be hit what he's doing right now. He's got to not only retool the system, which was grossly underdrafted and staffed, right?
Mhm.
It was really gross what they had in that organization. But he has to
Was
peel
it an
away.
amazing mess?
It was amazing. Yeah, it really was. And that is funny because that's a that's a totally different topic, not for this show, but that's a disaster as well. That's also grossly overestimated. Okay. So moving back to this, sternly, we have um we have a situation we have a situation here in Houston where Dana's got to come in, man. He's got to pick up from a GM that's a World Series winning GM, no less, who did an excellent job in his own right of keeping things steady. Like James Cook did a good job of keeping it right here. He didn't really go up with it, didn't go down with it. He kept it here. And then he's got to deal with an owner who makes one of the worst signings of all time in Jose Abreu, as far as the Astros are concerned. And he's got to unpeel all these layers. He doesn't get a team as a big league level anyway till January of that year. I'll never forget that process for obvious reasons. So, he doesn't get a team till then. He's got to keep it competitive, which he does. He has a manager who's brand new the next year who messes with the lineup in epic proportions, right? And then he's got to try to find a way to retool the system, picking in the back of the draft. He finally gets multiple picks this year. Finally gets a bunch of picks back this year. And he's got to tear down the dynasty at the same time. Man, I don't know that I'd want to do that. I don't know of too many other people that would want to take that much responsibility to re-steering the ship or resetting the direction of the organization to get them there. So, all things considered, the man's doing a pretty good job. That's not an easy assignment. That's a tough assignment.
What is your assessment of what the Astros did in the draft?
The Astros address needs by getting players they think that are high floor as well as some ceiling and some risk, but mostly high floor guys that think they're going to go out and perform. Logan Hughes and Bo Peterson are compliments, and I say that because they're both corner guys. I had Hughes, I didn't have Peterson. Hughes has come in a tremendously long way to make himself into a player. When we got him as a sophomore in high school, let me tell you, my brother, it was a little bit different. And I'm very happy for Logan to have arrived in a spot where he's performed. He transferred into Texas Tech. That wasn't the first place he went to school. But Logan can hit. He could always hit. And the fact that he's turned himself into a player is a testament to his makeup, and it's probably what the Astros need right now. They need a little more accountability from an over organizational standpoint. They need a little more growth. They need a few more things that he's going to give them. And he's going to go in there and give them some leadership. You can't be that far away and make yourself a first round pick and not be a leader. It's not the guy that goes 1-1 that is supposed to go 1-1. Like, and I'm not putting this guy down, but as an example, Hunter Green with the Reds, who years ago was this uber prospect forever. Logan Hughes is self-made, and good for him for doing that. Then you got Bo Peterson, who I don't know if that contract's been released yet, but that's a ridiculous number if he signs it. And so that balances out the two with the upside and the ceiling and the power. I know what that went for, what I was told it went for anyway. Is that before I spill the beans? Is that out yet? Before I say anything, because I haven't been I've been head down with my own stuff on this side a
Yeah.
little bit. So just curious, has that number been
Well,
released?
I don't know.
Oh, let's take a look.
Do do. Fourth round.
It's not slot, bud. I'm just gonna tell you, it ain't slot.
Which I don't think that you're saying anything that is out of turn because
All right, I heard. I'll just say it because
to
I'm on
draft a guy
board.
that hot, to draft him, you figure it's going to be over slot. You just figure.
I heard it was $3 million
Mm.
in the fourth round. Okay. Jensen Hirschkorn, guy we did have, who went to the Braves in the third round, got about 4 mil, right? And so Gracia, AJ Gracia with the Braves signed for just under that. So Hirschkorn, they got two first rounders, they paid him. I don't know what Hughes got. I don't know what that slot was at 17. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do know that I heard Peterson was 3 mil. And if he goes in the fourth round, he's going to sign. So um, upside, power, hit tool, and across the board dealing with guys that have, things they can execute. The Astros took a second rounder that's got some velocity but throws strikes. I mean, just throwing strikes. We're trying to find guys now that can perform, that check out both analytically and also have tool grades and some kind of a role future. So the Astros need players. And that's what I meant about trading when I talked about trading Correa and I talked about trading guys off the roster earlier in the year. It's because you don't want to carry these guys all the way through your most valuable trade chips, thinking they're going to sign back when they're not, because you're trying to win a pennant you're not going to win. And you can go ahead and get so many guys back to retool this system and change your curve. If you figure Altuve goes nowhere, and it sounds like Alvarez goes nowhere, even though I would get 9 guys for him, right? Sounds like Alvarez goes nowhere. Well, it doesn't mean the other guys can't. It doesn't mean you can't go get prospects. So all that to say, they got 6 picks. I think they address it the way they're supposed to. Get players, get players, get players, get players, and guys that have a chance to show up in the big leagues and sooner rather than later.
Astros slot at number 17 was 4.868.
Yeah, so it's about, let's call it 5 mil. Has Logan Hughes been released yet? Number? No.
No, no.
So that should not happen this late after the draft already in this day and age. They have 2 weeks to sign. One pick was 10.3. The 3 pick is out already. The 2 pick, a lot of guys are out. So
Their 28th pick, the
yeah,
prospect promotion incentive pick, was 3.63 million at number 28. This according to MLB.com.
right. And then so that's what not call it 8.5 between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, their bonus pool is 13.7.
yeah, but there's 8.5 at the front.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Bo Peterson got 3. Logan probably got 3.
Hey, other teams have been doing $500 deals. I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah, I'm real critical or real careful to be critical of organizations with philosophies like that because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. What I do know is that that's pretty tough to swallow. But back years ago, guys signed for nothing. Your
Well,
free
guys
agency is
got
nothing.
usually I would hear $1,000. That was usually a senior sign, $1,000.
And there are times when guys sign for nothing.
Yeah.
And, if $500 splits the difference, I don't know how to justify that one, but that's what the Braves did. They turned around and paid guys like Hirschkorn for whatever they paid him for. So somebody took the job. It's a lesson to the players out there that are watching that aren't sure or talk about what they want. Hey, somebody wants the job worse than you, and they'll take it. If you don't want it, they'll take it. $500? $500 doesn't pay half your rent in your dorm. You know what I mean? So I don't want, they just want to go play baseball. So, I guess it's going to work the way it's going to work. We'll find out what the next draft version of the draft looks like. But the Astros, I think, back to that, they attacked it the way they were supposed to. They did a lot of really good stuff with it.
Three things the Astros must do to contend in the second half of the season after the All-Star break. I have my three. Do you want to just ping pong?
Yeah, you go first.
Number one, stay healthy. Obviously, stay healthy, stay healthy, stay healthy. And try to get the guys who aren't healthy back to health and have them all on the same field.
It's two you took.
No, that's stay healthy. Number one. Number
And get the,
two, it all is under the same health umbrella. Number two is what, Jeremy?
do I got to do three and you do three, or is
No,
it three
I was
together?
just going to
Okay.
give you one, and I can do the next two.
Shorten the game. Starting pitching has to go out and get innings and get to the lineup at least twice and shorten the game. You got to take stress off the bullpen.
And cut down on the walks.
Well, that's how you shorten the game. Throwing strikes to be
Exactly.
efficient. So you got to shorten the game.
Hunter Brown has to go back to being Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown has to pitch like an ace.
They got
And
to they got to score more
obviously,
runs.
coming off his injury, he's not been the Cy Young candidate, Hunter Brown, that the Astros know he can be. And I don't know why. It's baseball. It happens. But they're going to need Hunter Brown to shove for them to make a run in the second half.
But isn't that all kind of starting pitching, or is that being real is that granular?
No, you're right. It could be. And that's why I initially was like, oh, he took all of starting pitching.
Well, you took all the
How
health,
selfish.
man. I mean, you
How
took all okay,
selfish.
okay. You took all the health, and I'm sitting here going, you're going to say health, and I'm going to say get their guys back, and that's ping pong. You took them both. So you know what? I see you and I raise you. All the starting pitching got to shorten the game. All right, your turn.
Well,
I was two. I was two. You got.
oh, okay. So now, here's what can be number three then.
Okay.
Some kind of outfield production offensively.
That'd be nice. That would be nice. That'd be nice. Hey, how's Jake Myers doing?
He's doing really well in AAA.
Oh,
He had a walk-off homer or a grand slam or something. You've
we
been
call
busy.
that.
I've been I'm getting back from vacation, so I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I don't
But
think you need the numbers. I'll help you. We call it regression to the mean. Okay. And so I'll remind everybody that in 2023, Jake Myers could not make the playoff roster. I'm not putting the guy down for what he achieved, but that's a verifiable fact. In 24, all of a sudden, he was a star. In 25, he had a good year. And then in 26, he's back where he probably should be. He's in AAA or a 4A guy. So
in 3 games, he has 2 homers, 5 runs driven in, OPS of 1253, although the batting average is 222.
but they didn't call him up.
Not yet,
Yeah. So,
to the best
yeah,
of my knowledge.
outfield production would be great. I'm with you. That's three. I was going to say they need to swing the bat a lot, score a lot more runs because the pitching, you don't know what you're going to get out of that. And they got to bring their best foot forward every night. I don't trust a spotter with the lineup ever. I never will trust a spot with the lineup again. So I give Joe the benefit of the doubt and Dana for the jobs they have. Neither one's an easy one right now. It just really isn't. As much as I may disagree with them, but that's why it's not an easy job, is because there's so many interpretations of the way you can go with it. When you have a good club and you're winning, most people don't say anything. Just go ahead and get it done. And so they got to score runs, they got to throw strikes, they got to shorten the games, they have to play baseball, and to do all that, they got to stay healthy, because if they're not going to trade off the big league roster, they're not going to get any other help other than what's already stashed in Sugarland, including Jake Myers. So that's what I got.
No time for viewer comments, although we did read comments from is it Brewerland? What do they call it?
I don't know. But were
You work for
there,
them?
but that, I don't know. I went back and
The
went
Brew
back for
Crew?
Cooper. Yeah, I went back for Cooper Pratt stuff, and Mitt was there for the debut, as you know. I'll
Yeah.
tell you this: I walked back onto that field, which and what I've been, I don't know, hundreds of times before. And it was nice to look around and see the stadium. Uh, I didn't have a whole lot of feeling beyond that. I was actually talking to a buddy of mine who who we worked there together with. I was talking to him today about something else, has to do with USA baseball because I'm headed there tomorrow. And I didn't have I had no feeling. I was happy for Cooper. It was a full circle moment, like with my history with that organization, him being there.
Yeah, but it's possible that you were there for Cooper, right? So that was,
Well,
maybe
yeah,
that's
but
where your focus, your energy and everything, that's where, as it should have been, it should be on Cooper.
well, let me say it to you this way. When I went back to Seattle for the All-Star game, okay, which reminds me, I got something I'm going to say here about Seattle here. Okay. When I went back to Seattle for the All-Star game, um, it was very welcoming. I got a lot of, hugs and people said, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" And I was there for a short time compared to what I was with the Brewers, where I'd been there a couple different times in my career. Um, but the love that I felt made me miss Seattle, right? And it's not that I don't miss the writers and some of the people that are there in Milwaukee who've been great to me. There's a lot of people, I mean, really good people who've been really awesome over the years. Um, but it was just something about it, man. It just felt different. Stepping back on that field felt a lot different. Um, so yeah, I don't know, I don't know. It's a different overall feeling, I think. Um, with I kind of got lost in the Pratt moment there for a minute because it just felt so disconnected to be back with the Brewers again. But connecting that to Seattle as a difference of fraternity, even though Billy Hall and Corey Hart and all those guys are buddies, okay, Cammy, but Seattle is having a home run derby, okay. They're going to have Ichiro and a couple of these old-time greats hit. One former teammate of mine, Bucky Jacobson, is going to hit in that home run derby. Bucky is going to be outfitted with some bats and some batting gloves and some Future Star Series spikes or moldeds and all kinds of stuff. Take BP in our old stomping grounds with Ichiro. So I'm
Wait,
looking
when
forward
is
to it.
this? What are we talking about?
August 7th, and I'm actually probably going to go to that. Bucky hit me up the other day and said, "Hey man, I'm going to go hit a home run derby." I said, "You and Ichiro hitting?" He goes, "Yeah, we're hitting on the same team."
And what is this for?
I have no idea. But Cammy said he's going too, so I'm going. We're going up
God, I
there.
almost feel like I'd like to go, but
Let's go.
well,
Seattle's great.
it is. We got a lot of Texans stuff going on though at that time. So,
Yeah. Who?
what?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a lot on the agenda, so we did not get to viewer comments, of which we had a lot.
What?
A lot.
Wait, whoa. Come on, give me something.
No. Next week, because it's late. It's late.
It's not one
Late
comment.
into this,
Just one. Okay, give me one.
late into this episode. No, because one becomes two, which then becomes three.
I just want one. Give me the best one. Give me the best one.
Oh, you're killing me, man.
Yep, I know.
Because now I have to go through, and the Astros did have a thank you for everything for Colton Gordon, by the way, as well.
Good for him.
I'm looking here. They have they're running down all of the Lance McCullers moments now, so that's cool.
Was there any questions about Lance McCullers' last moments, or is there stuff about the other stuff we did? Because I haven't looked.
No, a lot of it was about Javier, and yeah.
I saw some of that. Was that on Facebook?
It must have been, because I'm looking here on Instagram and I don't see what I was looking for. So let's do it next time when I'm actually prepared. Because
Okay.
this episode was about Lance, was about the draft, and was about what the Astros must do in the second half to compete and make the playoffs.
Okay, I can live with that.
All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. Leave those comments, questions, concerns, and everything else below if you're watching on YouTube. As always, thanks for watching Extra Bases. For Jeremy, I'm Jason. Till next time, bye-bye.